Be prepared. Because what's happening now isn't just exhaustion, distraction, or emotional weight. It's a subtle unraveling of the self. And if you don't pay attention, you'll mistake the symptoms of release for signs of failure. As the moon slips into its final quarter, something in your energy is collapsing, not as punishment, but as preparation. And while the world stays focused on forward motion, your soul is being pulled backward into forgotten memories, silent grief, strange cravings, and emotional fog. You're not broken. You're being emptied. This isn't just another moon phase. It's a spiritual drain disguised as stillness. And if you try to outrun it, you'll miss what it's here to show you. Stay with me, because in just a few moments, I'll tell you exactly why you feel like something's fading, slipping, or dissolving beneath the surface. And why this week, of all weeks, is asking you to release just one thing before it pulls everything else with it. Something quiet is happening, so quiet that most won't notice it until it's already shaped them. As the moon begins to darken, a slow unraveling begins, not in the sky, but in your internal field. This is not just the last quarter. This is the beginning of a deep spiritual drain. And what you're feeling right now, it's not fatigue, it's a release. You may have noticed the signs: scattered thoughts, waves of nostalgia, forgetting simple things, a growing sense that your energy is thinning without a clear cause. That's not failure. That's the system preparing to shed something too old to carry forward. This moon isn't about intention or manifestation. It's about removal, subtraction, energetic surrender. And the deeper truth? The release has already begun. The last quarter moon always initiates the descent, not just of light, but of false identity. It's the moment the lunar current dips beneath the surface and asks your energy to follow. If you've been feeling hollow, unmotivated, or uncertain about things that used to feel clear, it's because your soul is detaching from outdated versions of reality, not all at once, but piece by piece, silently, efficiently, spiritually. This isn't darkness, it's the return to source, and what's slipping from your hands right now isn't being stolen, it's being cleared. Because your system knows what your mind hasn't yet accepted. You're not meant to carry everything into the next phase. Especially not the stories, regrets, thought patterns, and spiritual clutter that are still running silently in the background. This is a sacred disconnection. You might feel like your voice is quieter, like your ideas won't land, like your memories are slipping through your fingers. Don't panic. This isn't mental fog. This is energetic formatting, and the moon is the guide. Because in this phase, she doesn't speak in light. She speaks in absence. And absence isn't emptiness. It's instruction. You're being asked to notice what no longer has grip, what no longer sparks, what no longer feels real, even if it once defined you. That emotional ache that shows up when you think about them, that craving to revisit a decision you thought was final, that sudden sense that something or someone is fading without a goodbye, that's not emotional instability. That's release in progress. And this time, it's not dramatic. It's surgical, it's precise, and it's non-negotiable. Because this isn't the part of the lunar cycle people like to talk about. It doesn't sparkle, it doesn't manifest, it doesn't create, it clears. And clearing is messy, disorienting, humbling. But it's also the only way to make space for what's next. You may even feel like the days are folding into each other, like your usual rhythm is off, like time itself is pausing between thoughts. That's because you've entered the hollow gate, the space between, the field between breath and rebirth. It's not supposed to feel productive, it's supposed to feel weightless until you realize how much weight you were carrying without noticing. So if you're tired, let yourself dissolve. If your thoughts are scattered, let them scatter. If something breaks, let it mark the moment your energy became too big to fit inside what used to hold it. This moon isn't fading, it's releasing. And if you're willing to stop chasing clarity long enough to feel it, you'll start to notice what's falling away was never truly you, just a version you outgrew. You're not forgetting things by accident. You're not zoning out because you're tired. You're not losing your focus because you're lazy or disconnected. What's happening now is far more precise than that. And it's not cognitive. It's energetic. The fog you feel in your mind is not a flaw. It's a function of spiritual recalibration. During this waning phase, as the moon's light dissolves, your system begins doing something it rarely has permission to do. Release what it no longer resonates with, including thought forms, identity loops, and mental constructs that have quietly shaped how you see yourself for years. It's not just that you're forgetting, it's that certain thoughts no longer fit your frequency, and your field is trying to disconnect them before they pull you back into timelines you've already outgrown. Have you caught yourself mid-sentence lately, unsure of where the thought was going? Have you reread a message 5 times and still couldn't feel it land? Have you walked into a room and paused, not because you forgot what you came for, but because your body just didn't care anymore? That's not malfunction. That's spiritual detachment. That's your energy body closing tabs you didn't even know were open. Right now, the moon is operating like a soft magnetic pull, drawing forward fragments of memory, old thoughts, outdated emotions, and discarded identities. Not to torment you, but to filter what no longer holds weight. The loops that once ran quietly in the background about who you should be, what you didn't do, what could have been, are surfacing not to haunt, but to exit. But here's the twist. They don't leave dramatically. They fade. Which means you may feel strange moments of dissociation, like watching your life from a few feet outside your body, or emotional echoes with no clear trigger, or sudden moments of not caring about something that once consumed you. This isn't apathy. This is soul-level subtraction. And the fog isn't the problem. It's the filter. You are not being punished with confusion. You're being protected from excess clarity that would only keep you mentally attached to versions of yourself that are being dismantled. Because clarity, too soon, can become another identity, another thing to cling to instead of letting yourself feel the unraveling. And this unraveling is sacred. This is the purge no one can see, the invisible formatting. The moment your soul steps forward and says, "Let me clean this. Let me wipe the mental residue of people you've already released. Let me dissolve the emotional files of beliefs that never belong to you. Let me lift the dust from the thoughts that kept you looping in survival." And yes, it will feel like forgetfulness, but it's not memory loss. It's permission to stop clinging, to stop rehearsing the past, to stop narrating your life in stories that only make sense if you keep shrinking. So when the fog rolls in, don't fight it. Notice what disappears from your thoughts, What names don't come to mind? What stories feel flat? What patterns no longer land? That is your soul showing you what it no longer wants to carry. Because when the fog lifts, and it will, what remains will be cleaner, truer, lighter, not because you added anything, but because you finally let something go. This isn't confusion. This is release in disguise, and it's happening now. There's a moment in the path where the universe stops being gentle, not out of cruelty, but because softness no longer serves the stage you're in. And that moment often arrives wrapped in a quiet kind of heaviness, the kind that doesn't scream, but sits on your chest. The kind of weight that makes you pause and ask, what am I really carrying that no longer belongs to me? That's what Saturn does. And as we approach this powerful lunar alignment with Saturn, something begins to shift in the emotional body. Not just thoughts, not just memories, but structures, emotional patterns, internal rules, outdated timelines held together by fear, dressed up as logic. This isn't just another moon transit. It's a cosmic intervention, a mirror held in front of your soul. And this time, it's not showing you what you want to fix. It's showing you what you've been refusing to face. Have you felt the pressure building? Not loud, not dramatic, but just this low, steady hum of discomfort. Maybe you're questioning your path. Maybe you've been avoiding a decision. Maybe the thing you keep blaming, timing, the energy, your past, is starting to feel thin, hollow, exposed. That's Saturn. And it's not punishing you, it's revealing you. Because Saturn doesn't come to destroy, it comes to clarify. And when it connects with the waning moon, the phase of release, that clarity comes with consequence. Suddenly, the loops you've lived in are too obvious to ignore. The stories you've told yourself don't land the same way. The excuses feel heavier than the truth ever did. And that's the moment you realize. The thing keeping you stuck wasn't fate. It was permission that you refused to give yourself. This energy asks, what are you still calling bad timing that's really just fear? What decisions are you postponing under the illusion of preparation? What versions of you are still leading your life, even though you stopped resonating with them long ago? You'll feel the resistance first, the discomfort in places that used to feel familiar, the tension in routines that used to soothe you, the dissatisfaction that creeps into conversations, plans, even into the version of your life that once seemed right. That's not restlessness. That's a soul-pressurized truth trying to break through a hole. The Saturn mirror reflects not your flaws, but your potential. The version of you that exists on the other side of the decision you've been avoiding. But to meet them, something must collapse. A story, a delay, a protective layer built from logic. And yes, you will be tempted to fight it, to reframe the discomfort, to rationalize the pressure, to say, it's just a weird mood, or it's just been a stressful week. But deep down, you already know it's not mood. It's not circumstance. It's alignment calling your bluff. This phase of the moon was never meant to inspire. It was meant to expose, to reveal how many of your inner structures are built around survival, not truth. And Saturn isn't here to ask politely. It's here to show you what's no longer optional. If you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. If you've been waiting for confirmation, here it is. Not because everything's perfect, but because Saturn will never ask you to be ready. It will only ask you to be honest. So take a breath and look at what's no longer sustainable, not with judgment, but with maturity. Because once you name the thing you've been avoiding, the pressure breaks, and the weight, it finally lifts. What are you really longing for? It starts small. A memory, a face you haven't thought about in months, a soft ache that doesn't hurt but lingers, a longing, not loud, not dramatic, just enough to pull your attention out of the present and into something that almost feels like love, but isn't quite whole. That's Venus, speaking through the field now. And when she moves close to the moon during this fragile phase, the emotional layer becomes porous. What you crave isn't just intimacy, it's reflection, it's confirmation that you're still lovable in your unraveling, that you're still seen even as you let parts of yourself fall away. But here's the truth, most of what you're feeling right now is not about them. It's about you, facing the echo of your own unmet needs. This is where the Venus trigger hides, not in the longing itself, but in what you're willing to compromise just to feel temporarily full. You might find yourself scrolling for no reason, waiting for a name to appear. You might consider sending that message, not because it would lead to healing, but because you want to remember what it felt like to be wanted. You might flirt with old patterns, relive old fantasies, open doors you already closed. But pause, because this is not the voice of destiny. This is his emotional hunger wearing a familiar face. And hunger isn't a sign that you need to be fed by someone else. It's a signal that something inside you needs to be reclaimed. Venus is shining light on your attachment reflex. The way you reach out when the silence gets too loud. The way you shapeshift for affection. The way you still try to prove your worth through someone else's response. And this isn't judgment. This is truth. Unfiltered, raw, uncomfortable, and sacred. Because now you get to ask the real question, what am I actually longing for? Not the name, not the message, not the temporary warmth, but the root beneath it all. Is it validation, reassurance? The illusion of connection so you don't have to sit with the quiet ache of your own becoming. Because Venus doesn't just bring love. She brings exposure. She shows you where the void still lives. Not to hurt you, but to show you where your light hasn't reached yet. And during this phase of the moon, that exposure comes with consequence. Because if you reach from a place of emptiness now, the emotional crash on the other side can be sharp. You may get what you think you wanted and realize it only deepened the ache. But if you can stay in the longing without outsourcing your worth, something powerful starts to happen. The craving dissolves, the illusion fades, and you begin to see that what you were looking for in others was actually a mirror of what your inner self has been begging you to return to. So breathe. Let the feelings rise. Let the urge pass through you like a wave. Because you are not lonely, you are in restoration. And this tenderness you're feeling is not weakness. It's your soul peeling away the last layers of dependency. Don't numb it. Don't chase it. Don't text it. Feel it. Because once you sit with the ache, truly sit with it, you won't just survive the craving. You'll outgrow it, grow. It's easy to ignore the small things. The glass that slips from your hand, the sudden glitch in your phone, the necklace that snaps at the clasp, the light bulb that bursts for no reason the moment you walk in. But during this phase, with the moon thinning and the veil growing more sensitive, nothing breaks without purpose. These aren't coincidences. They are signals. This is the part of the lunar cycle that doesn't speak in light. It speaks in release. And sometimes, the only way the universe can send a message to a mind saturated by thought is through matter. What breaks now is not failing you. It's freeing you. Because every object, every space, every repetitive habit you move through is a container, a carrier of memory, energy, and identity. And when your vibration shifts, some of those containers can't hold you anymore. This week, the breaks, literal and symbolic, are happening because your field is recalibrating, and anything tethered to the old frequency is either being removed or marked for exit. You didn't drop it, it was released through you. That cracked plate you always eat from when you're anxious, the bracelet tied to a version of you that no longer speaks, the journal that went missing when you were finally ready to let that chapter close. They're not just things, they're mirrors. And right now, they're showing you what your energy has already outgrown, even if your conscious mind hasn't caught up. So instead of rushing to replace or repair what breaks this week, pause and ask yourself, what was this object holding for me? What memory, phase, relationship, role was it silently anchoring? What part of me is being untethered through this quiet disruption? And more importantly, why does this release feel like grief, even when I know it's right? Because the truth is, even healing has a cost. Even alignment means letting go of the pieces that once helped you survive, even if they now prevent you from growing. This is the hidden beauty of the waning moon. She doesn't demand sacrifice. She invites subtraction, and she does it gently. Not with declarations, but with signals. Not with words, but with the sound of something small breaking and something deeper being set free. If something falls, slips, cracks, or disappears this week, bless it. Don't call it bad luck. Call it a shift in density. Call it evidence that your current energy can no longer be contained by objects that were built for who you used to be. And in that pause, in that breath before the cleanup, whisper, thank you. Because what just left wasn't random. It was the final piece of a version of you that no longer fits. You've reached the hollow gate, that strange, silent space before a new beginning. Not quite ending, not yet rebirth, just pause, just the breath between versions. And in this stillness, a question begins to rise. What are you still carrying that you know doesn't belong? Because this moon, in its final descent, doesn't want everything from you. It doesn't need your full transformation. It doesn't ask you to burn down your life or leap into something radical. It asks for one thing, just one. One attachment, one narrative, one thought that drains your light every time it loops through your mind. This phase is not about doing more. It's not about intensity. It's not about fixing. It's about releasing what has quietly outlived its purpose. The thing you've been dragging through cycle after cycle, even though it no longer resonates, even though it subtly weighs you down every time you pretend it still fits. And if you listen closely, you already know what it is. It's not hidden, it's hovering. In the guilt you can't shake, in the voice you silence when you're trying to be what they need, in the thought that always arrives when you're about to expand. That's the one. Letting it go won't feel cinematic. There won't be fireworks or divine applause. It might just feel like silence, like stillness, like an empty space where something used to live. And that's the point. Because subtraction is sacred. And in the language of the moon, what you remove makes room for what's real. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to explain it. You just need to choose, with your breath, your body, your intention, to stop holding what your soul has already let go of. The hollow gate is the invitation to do just that. This isn't a loss. It's preparation. It's a quiet alignment of energies that want to meet you, but can't, while your hands are still full of stories that expired long ago. So, if you've been feeling disconnected from your purpose, your voice, your clarity, don't panic. You're not broken. You're in the sacred pause between patterns. You are in the cosmic quiet before re-entry. And all that's being asked of you is to let one piece drop. Because once you do, once you free even a single layer, everything can shift. Not because the world changed, but because now it has space to meet the version of you that was waiting all along.